Alright, so I'm just going to show you how to unhitch the caravan when you arrive on site. So first of all, put the handbrake on, make sure the caravan's not going to roll away. Pull this up, just check that this is extended here. If you've just stopped suddenly or reversed the caravan, that'll be compressed. So you need to put the handbrake on and then jump in the car and just drive forward a little bit until this extends out. Otherwise, when you take it off the tow ball, it'll suddenly pop out and hit the back of your car. So go into the boot at the front here. Grab the jockey wheel, that's the step for the front. Inside at the moment. Right, so grab the jockey wheel, undo the clamp. So put it in on the bottom rib there, otherwise you might not be able to get the front of the caravan low enough. If your car's quite high, you may have to put it on the next one up, and then once you get the van off, you might have to put the stabiliser legs down, remove the jockey wheel, and then move it down, depending on how flat the ground is that you're staying on. So wind that up there. And pull this handle as you're winding it up. Like that. And just got to unhook everything. So you've got the emergency brake there that'll pull the brakes on if the caravan comes off. And so undo the safety chain. Let's put that over there, and then just unplug the cables. So that one's for the fridge. Anderson plug if you've got one on your car, and that one's for your trailer lights. If you have been running the fridge off that plug, you'll need to come around this side. It's got a safety feature built in to stop your car from being run flat overnight if you forget to unplug it. None of the lights in the caravan will work until you've reset this circuit breaker down here. So I don't know if you can see that. In here, circuit breaker here. So you just hit that to reset that. And then wait about 5 seconds, and then you can connect it back up again, and that'll just reset the lights inside so they'll work. Alright, so we've got everything disconnected now. Just make sure you got it wound up enough to move the car out of the way. Now, when you're trying to get the caravan level, grab your wrench there, and this is the remote for the power movers, so you can actually move the caravan into the right spot once you get on site. So you can do this from either side. If you look down here, these are the motor movers here, so you've got to put this onto that and engage the motor mover. It takes quite a bit of force. Once you hear it click in, it should stay there, and then you turn it on by double clicking the power button, and then if you've got it facing the way the caravan normally goes, the different buttons will turn the caravan or drive it forwards and backwards. Yeah, just make sure before you move the caravan that there's nothing in the way of the caravan that you're going to hit, so do a bit of a walk around. then make sure you take the handbrake off. So there's a bit of force required just to push that down. And then you're right to move. So watch here, you can see the back of the car here. If I hold the backwards button, the caravan will start to move backwards away from the car. Now, to get it in the right position, I'm going to have a look at the level here and try and get the bubble in the middle. So at the moment, it's a bit to that side, to the left, so we need to move the passenger side of the caravan up a bit higher to move the bubble further over to the centre. So usually you could use a ramp to do that. So you can take that out and put it under the wheel. And then you can use the control to drive up onto the ramp. So you get it level. And now we get it's pretty level there, so then you can just raise or lower the jockey wheel at the front and get it right in the centre. So probably need to go up a bit more onto that ramp. Right, now what I usually do is go a bit further up the ramp than I need to. And when you release the motor movers, it will move forward a bit. So before you release the motor movers, because they're holding it at the moment, make sure you put the handbrake back on. As you'll see, when I disengage the motor movers, it will move forward a bit. So make sure you got that handbrake on. Make sure everyone's out of the way. There you go, moved a little bit, but chocked in there. Alright, so that's set up. Just important to make sure those are disengaged before you drive anywhere, otherwise you'll destroy them. Alright, so you've got the caravan in position, it's level. Now you want to put down the stabiliser legs. So one on each corner. Handy if you've got a drill, you can use that on. Otherwise there is a hand winder in the front boot, but it takes a lot longer. Just put that on. Down, just make sure you pull that flat when it hits the ground. Now these aren't to actually lift up the caravan, they're just to get it, just to hold it stable. So make sure you get it level before you put them down. Don't use them to try and level the caravan because they're not strong enough to do that. They're just to stop it rocking. So go around and do all 4 of those. Back. Now sometimes the back ones, if you're on a bit of a slope, they won't go all the way down to the ground. So you need to put a block of wood underneath, and there's a couple of blocks of wood in the front boot if you need to do that. Once you've got it level, you've got to hook up the power and water. So power cable's in the front here. Just because I'm at home, I've already got one out. So we'll just put that up. So this is a converter that converts from 15 amps to 10 amps if you're going to connect it up at home or somewhere that doesn't have 15 amp power. So you can put that up. Otherwise, if you're at a caravan park or something, they'll have 15 amps and you just use the extension cord. Yeah. It's on. Get the water up now. So there's there's two hoses in here. So we've got one there with a double end on it, so usually use that. I'll have to screw that onto the tap at the caravan park. I don't need that at the moment because I'm at home. So there's two hoses. There's one that's a bit longer than the other. So if you need to use both of them, you can join them together with that joiner. Otherwise you can have one for the caravan and one you can just hook up a hose in case you need to wash anything. Need the longer one here. Alright, so that just connects inside here. Alright, and turn on the water. Alright, so now just hook up the wastewater hose. So that's in here, also in the front boot. So I won't roll that out now, but basically this goes under the van, I'll show you in a minute, and you just hook it on to that and then run your hose to the drain or off away from your caravan, whatever the case may be. I'll show you where that goes on back here. So if you can get down low enough, under here there's two pipes that come out, so that just... Alright, and then you join your hose to that, it comes out there, pretty simple. Alright, now let's go inside and have a look. Alright, so once you get inside, you want to turn your hot water heater on. So make sure you keep the water first. Then the switch underneath the bed here, turn that on. Let's make sure there's water going into that. Yep. Now when you first hook up the water, there's probably going to be air in the line, so just turn the water on gently, let all the air get out. It'll sort of start to splatter a bit, so just let that run for a bit, just on low pressure. Make sure there's no air in the lines. Right, now the switch panel's over here on the kitchen. So you got the master switch just there, which turns all the 12 volt power on in the caravan. And it shows you here you've got a little gauge for the battery, so it's showing 13.5 volts at the moment because it's being charged. When you're not hooked up to 240 volts, it'll probably sit around 13 volts. If it gets down below 12 volts, that pretty much means the battery's gone flat and you need to recharge it. So that's either with the solar panels or hooking it up to 240 volts. And you got the pump switch here as well. So that's just if you're gonna use water out of the water tank, switch that on. The main lighting switch turns all the lights off, on and off, and then you've got the 4 lights here. So you've got the dining light here and the light for outside the awning. With the dining light, which is up on the roof here, there's actually a button in the middle here which you can adjust the brightness. So if you want to leave that on at night and without waking anyone up, you can do that. And you can see the strip lighting around the edges there. Bathroom's down here. You've got the shower here, so with the shower you can't adjust the pressure, it's just the temperature, so the higher up you go, the hotter it goes. And if you only just turn it on a bit, it's just going to be cold water, so you can work that out. Windows, unlock them like that. You just push them out to open them, and you can sort of click them into different spots. And then if you want to close it, push it all the way up. Just, there you go. So turn the fridge on, just press the power button here. And then you got a couple of options here. So there's battery, which it's beeping at the moment because I'm not hooked up to the car. So that will only run off if you're hooked up to the car. And if you've got the Anderson plug connected. This one's gas. So I haven't got the gas on at the moment, so that won't work either. and then this one with the plugs just 240 volts, so if you got plugged into 240 volts, that's what you want to be using. And then you can adjust the temperature here, so I usually just leave it on the highest setting unless stuff starts to freeze, but it's only really in winter you got to lower it. So fridge, you got the freezer at the top here. There's a thermometer here to tell you what the temperature is. Usually leave that part in the fridge and the other one in the freezer, so you know what the temperature's running at, so you can work out whether you need to turn the fan on outside or adjust this. There's a couple of these bars here, so they're just sort of spring loaded just to sit, make sure stuff doesn't fly out as you're driving. So yeah, good idea to use those. You can adjust the length of them just by sort of screwing them. Down the bottom here you got drying rack, so usually use that over here, folds out, folds up, so we've got an extra little bench here for that, so make sure you push those legs up underneath, make sure they're pushed right up, it's stable, and you can sort of sit that on there, close up the little plug there so the water doesn't go out all over the floor. Do your dishes, and then you can move it out of the way and let the water drain out there. Just make sure with this it won't take a lot of weight, so make sure the kids don't hang off it or anything, and when you're unlocking it you just push these down a bit and then it'll just fold in like that. So yeah, just try and keep that folded in so it doesn't accidentally get broken. I've got a little shelf up here which you can put your dishwashing stuff on and other bits and pieces, a couple of rails for tea towels and stuff. Up here you got the kettle, so you can sit that up on there, but when you're actually using it, you're better off to put it down on the bench, but you can sort of store it up there out of the way. Just got some containers to put your food and stuff in, stop it sliding around everywhere. An ice cube tray and a couple of dishwashing things and tea towel and stuff up there. And you've got all your utensils and stuff in here, TV remote. Yeah, TV is pretty straightforward over there. And you got your bowls and plates and cups and stuff down here. Right down the bottom you got pot and pan and toaster, first aid kits down there, and here's the oven. Never been used so far, but yeah, tray and stuff in there, so if you are going to use it, obviously take all the plastic and everything out. We just use it to store bread and stuff like that in at the moment because it sort of keeps the bread cool and doesn't get too hot. Microwave's up here. Again, if you're going to use it, take out this stuff, and there you go, the glass tray there, take that out and pop it in. But make sure when you're travelling you put the glass tray back in that polystyrene, otherwise it'll fall around and could smash. So gas stove, lift that up, pretty simple, you just turn the knobs, hold them down and do the clicker like that to get them going. Alright. Alright, that's it. The aircon's up here. So that's the remote for the aircon. You've got all the different settings there. Pretty straightforward to work that out. Hot water, that's for the gas hot water if you're not connected to 240 volts. So there's two temperatures, 60 or 70. So yeah, you only need that if you're running off gas. Up here you got the radio. Yeah, pretty self-explanatory there. Yeah, for the TV you got the aerial. So you wind that up with this. All the way up. Alright, and then just make sure before you leave, wind it back down again. just leave that up on the roof when you go outside when it's up. So you've got cabinets all the way around, so they've all got these little latches on them to stop them coming open while you're driving, so make sure you release them before you try and pull them open, otherwise they're not going to open. You've got a few little lights around the place. The light switch up here, the lights around the sides. TV locks in under here. There's actually a little lock you've got to push up and then you pull it out. So make sure you sort of pull it out by this bottom bracket. If you try and pull by the TV, it won't actually come out. And then once it's released, then you can move the TV around, so you can move it out to whichever angle you need. You can see here that's the lock there that locks it in, so when you want to put it back in, fold it up, push that up, push it down, and then that's locked in place for while you're driving. The blinds on the windows, so basically the front blind here, you just got to, when you push it right down, just sort of push it in towards the window to lock it in, and then when you want to bring it up, just pull it down, back up again. There's a couple of spots you can lock it sort of halfway, and then behind that you got the fly screen if you want to open the window and shut the fly screen. Same thing with that, just pull it down and push it in, and that locks it in place. Alright, so up the back here you just got the wardrobe, fire blankets there, hanging space up there. When you put hangers on, hang them in from the back underneath. That'll stop them from falling out when you're driving. If you put them in forwards, they tend to bounce off. And then down the bottom here you got some drawers. Just pull out. Just make sure you sort of pushed all the way back in. And down the bottom you just got a bit of space down there for some shoes and stuff. There is a circuit breaker down there as well. If for some reason you have too many things powered at the same time, that might trip, so you just flip that open and reset it if you need to. Generally you shouldn't have too much trouble unless you got like the kettle and a heater and aircon and multiple things going at once. These hatches, put them up, you just squeeze in the handles and push them up, and then just pull them down when you want to close them. There is fly screens and shades on these as well, so you want to keep the sun out, all the bugs out. Make sure you do close them before you drive anywhere. And yeah, make sure all the windows and everything are all locked in the lock position before you drive anywhere as well. Make sure all the cupboards are all shut. So under the bed here, storage under here. So there's a couple of tables under there. That's a ground sheet, so you can put down outside if there's no concrete there. Put that on the grass or the dirt, stop your feet getting too dirty in the caravan and that. There's also just a drying rack there as well, just used to hang up towels and things on. Just make sure when you're packing this front bit to drive, try and sort of wedge everything in so stuff's not going to slide around and do any damage in there. So just try and pack everything in sensibly, I guess. Try and keep stuff away from the pipes and things over there for the hot water heater. Yeah, the door, the fly screen for the door pulls out like that. It's not very strong, so make sure the kids don't try and jump through it or something. And you can just release this bottom part of the door. You just want to have that open, just to get a bit of air. And back in. Off the whole thing. So before you get ready to leave or drive anywhere with the caravan, just go around and make sure all the windows are all locked in place. Also remember to make sure that the antenna's down, so Make sure it's wound all the way in the down direction till it stops turning. Make sure these skylights are shut as well, all the way down. Make sure the fridge is obviously shut, and just all the cupboards and everything are all clipped in and locked. Make sure the shower door here is locked up. So at the moment it's in a locked position. So it's got this little latch here which locks it in there, and also down here this little catch stops it from coming out. When you're undoing that, just squeeze that and then it'll come off. If you just try and pull it, it won't come off, so you got to squeeze that little bit out. It comes off there. Yeah, just make sure everything's closed and locked basically. So the microwave's got the polystyrene in there, it's a glass. And pretty much ready to go. Make sure the gas is turned off at the front. So lock the door when you're going to travel, make sure it doesn't come open while you're driving. Make sure it's locked. Make sure the steps are pushed in. Fold these legs up on this one in the front. Now the lock that's on the front, it's on at the moment to stop it from getting pinched while you're parked up. So take that off, just put the key in, pull that out, it comes off. So same when you're putting it on, basically you just got to put this ball under here, like that. That goes in, and you slide this onto the handle. Turn it, pull it out, you can see that's gone all the way in there. Can't get that off. Put the stabiliser legs up. So with the water, when you wind it up, disconnect both ends, just hold it up nice and high in the air so the water drains out the bottom. And then just make sure you connect it up to the other end of that. And close both of those taps, so that way if there is any more water in it, it won't leak out in the caravan. That up to itself, so again it's not going to leak. Just chuck it in the front. With the gas, you're going to run the gas hot water heater. You've got to make sure you take this off, it's a little cover. So that's for the exhaust for the gas. So make sure you take that off if you're going to use the gas hot water. If you're using the electricity, you can leave that on. Close that up, make sure all these are shut nice and tight. You can lock them while you're driving. Same key for all the locks. There is another hatch here as well. So that's another hatch there. We can store stuff. This actually lifts up and you can lock that up the front to use that as a storage spot. There's a couple of locks on the inside there. You can push it right up and lock it in place.
I think we're gonna wait.
Generally you don't want to put too much weight in the back of the caravan, otherwise it sort of makes it unstable. So probably load things up in the front, under the front bed first before you use that spot. This is the water tank. So there's 100 20-litre water tank underneath. So you can use that if you're going to free camp. There's a water pump that'll siphon water out of there if you're not connected to the mains. So now that we've disconnected the water and gas, disconnect the drainage hose as well. I haven't got it connected at the moment. So yeah, when we're ready to go, obviously take that off. Then we want to make sure the handbrake's on.
A football pumper.
I'm going to use the motor movers to get it up. So I'll engage them first.
I'm going to watch, guys.
Taking all the stabilisers up. Now we're going to use the motor movers to get the caravan off the ramp. I'll double click it to turn it on. Now take the brake off. Now come around to where the ramp is. So get it back off the ramp. Get it up a bit so we can get the chock out. And then drive it forward. Alright, take the ramp out. Pack that up in a minute. Now just make sure once you finish using the motor movers, come around and put the handbrake on. So if I was hooking you up to a car now, I'd get this in position over the tow ball with the motors, and you put the handbrake on and yeah, lower the jockey wheel so you can get the tow ball hitched in. So usually I'd have this lock off. I'll take it off now just to show you anyway. Alright, so imagine this is our tow ball in our car. Get it in the right spot, pull that up, and then wind the jockey wheel down to lower it in. And then basically once that's in the right spot, that will lock back down again. If that's not down, it means it's not hitched on properly. And then once you got that on, push that all the way down to lock onto the tow ball. And then you want to hook up, that's your emergency brake cord. So if the caravan somehow does come off the tow ball, that'll get pulled by a car and it will release, turn the handbrake on so the caravan doesn't go off down the road. And hook on your safety chain as well. Make sure that's got a little bit of slack in it, but not too much slack that it's dragging on the ground. And then hook up your power cables as well. So you've got your, that's a 12 pin to a 7 pin adapter. So if you've got a 12 pin plug on your car, you can take that off. Most cars have got 7 pins, so you just use this one. Plug that in, and again just make sure that's not sort of dragging on the ground. There is a bit of slack that you can pull through under here to adjust the length of that, and that's for your fridge. If you've got a Anderson plug on your car, plug that in to run the fridge. Otherwise you can't run the fridge while you're driving. And then once you're ready to go, make sure you take your handbrake off and make sure the motor movers are disengaged. Down here, always check that before you drive anywhere, because if they're still engaged, that will do a lot of damage. So if you want to disengage it and you move the roller forward, then you pull the bar forward and then backwards if you want to engage it. Alright, one last thing you usually do before you drive off is just go around and check that all the wheel nuts are nice and tight with that before you drive off, because they do sometimes come loose. And that's about it. Make sure your gas is turned off front, which is in here. So just screw that in tight on the gas there. there is provision for a second gas bottle if you need it, but in most cases one of these big 9 kilo ones will last you a fairly decent trip. Now there is a jack in here if you need to change spare tyre. So we're going to do that. If you get a flat tyre, what you want to do is a tyre that's flat, put the ramp in front of the flat tyre and pull the caravan with your car all the way up so the wheel's right on the top of the ramp, and then put your brakes on, put the chock behind the wheel, and then leave the car hooked up to the caravan so it's not going to move. And then you want to put your jack underneath, jack it up. So there's this little bit that sits on top of the jack like that to fit under the chassis here. So if you get down here and have a look, you're probably best off behind the wheel. Sorry. And there's a couple of lumps of wood in the front that you can use to get this higher, and you can also screw this goes up as well to make that higher. But basically you get that in the right spot so it's already sitting on the chassis like that before you start pumping it up. Otherwise you won't be able to get it high enough to actually get the new tyre on, because obviously the new tyre is going to be fully inflated, whereas this one's flat. So you want to have that, get that up as high as you can before you take the wheel off. It's probably also a good idea to loosen these nuts before you lift the wheel off the ground, because they will be quite hard to undo. So you want the wheel on the ground to stop it spinning. And then I'll show you where the spare wheel is at the front. So the spare wheel's just in here. And it's just a little wing nut you've got to undo to take it off the wall there. And then there's a little bag of nuts attached. You've got to use these nuts when you put the spare wheel on, because the nuts that are with the alloy wheels are a different size, so make sure you use the right nuts. And then just put the other wheel back in here and take it to get repaired. And that's it.